This is Pastor Unpacked. Real talk, real faith, real growth. Let's break down life with Jesus. Come on, church, let's unpack it.
The lie Christians keep believing: I'm failing. If I'm struggling, I must be falling. So I'm Pastor Bob McKay from Wadsworth Church in Nazarene. Welcome back to Pastor Unpacked with Scott Baumgartner. And today we're talking about life and how life is full of ups and downs, and the enemy wants to take advantage of that and say, God's the problem, you can't do it, the standard's too high, so just give up. And a lot of times when you're struggling is when you're learning. And when you're learning, it takes time for it to sink in or to get better. Yeah. You know, I used to teach golf. I used to work at Golf Tech. And what was great about Golf Tech, it was a visual. We had cameras. And so you would come in and you say, I would say, what's going on with your golf game? And said, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I need to do this, I need to do that. Here's what my swing is, here's what's going on. I'm like, okay, all right, I hear you. But the camera don't lie. So what you think, because you can't see yourself, right? In a golf swing, you can't see your swing. You don't know what you're doing. So the camera pulls up, I see your swing, and then I'm like, well, everything you just said was inaccurate. You know, like in my mind, I'm like, this guy's just way off of what he thinks, what reality is, and what he's really doing is way different. And so we would start out with a swing evaluation. That's where we would talk. We're trying to build a relationship. I got an hour and a half to get you to buy lessons from me, right? And so first little while we're talking, getting your goals, your frustrations, and where's your handicap, where you're trying to get to. And then I look at the swing, I pull it up to a tour swing. So tour swing against the amateur swing, you're like, look how good this is, look how bad you are. Like you just rip them. You just showing every bad thing. But I mean, it's the truth. Like you're not making anything up, but this is bad. Right. You know, even the best golfer, like this is bad. Like this ain't good. Like it is. I can see why you do this on the golf course. You know, I can see why every time it doesn't last. And then all right, let's work on something. So usually I fix her address and the grip, whatever, and then sometimes just fixing the address would change the whole takeaway. And so then I would show before and after. Here's before I helped you. Here's after. Here's how you look. Look at this difference. Look at this. Look at this. It's amazing. You know. And then, and then they swing and they could see the difference to the top to impact. And here was the biggest thing that I had to teach these people was don't worry about where the ball goes right now, because you're trying to fix a habit. Your bad habit gets the ball going, but you don't like where it's going. Right. You want it to be consistent and better, so you got to be willing to go through this pain of being uncomfortable. Because the first thing I would do when I change the address, oh, this feels weird. I say, well, that's good. If it feels weird, it's correct. Right. And they're like, oh, I don't like what. And so every week, they would come in and I would check them. Let's see if you got it. If you didn't get it, we wouldn't move forward. If they got it, then we move to the next step. And then guess what the next step is? Getting uncomfortable again. Mm-hmm. All right, now I want you doing this on a takeaway. First 6 hits, oh, I can't do that. It feels too weird. Do it. You know? Right. I wouldn't make them do it. And here's what would happen. They would get it, right? Still, I would say all the time, don't worry about ball flight. Don't worry about where it's going. Because until you trust it, the balls, you may hit 1 out of 5 balls great, but until you trust it, then it'll get 5 for 5. But until you trust what you're doing, don't worry about shanking it, hitting it left, and topping it, because you're trying to create a whole new memory. And so that's what Jesus is doing with us when we come to faith, because we compare ourselves to old life, new life, and we're dealing with that stuff, right? And it's still like this. It's still mixed together, and we're trying to get rid of things and learn things. And so people that have struggles It could be anything, music, TV, computer stuff, drinking and drugs and all that stuff's in the same pot.
Yep.
It's on the same spot, and that Jesus wants to help everybody that's got that stuff in the same pot. And one thing for sure, he's not pointing his finger and saying, "Quit, stop." He is, but he's not. You know what I mean? He's helping you quit and stop, but he's not saying you ought to quit this on a dime because you believe in me.
Right.
Some things happen naturally because he fills you, right? He fills you with the Holy Spirit. He's filling that void, and so there's things that you let go, but then there's other things. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus, how do I
struggle every day? Yes.
But it's creating a new habit, creating something new. And so it's being willing, and that's where accountability comes in with somebody that's gone through it. Can say, all right, how you doing, Scott? How you doing with this today? Well, what made you start to do that again? So having people speaking to your life, and that's how we get better, and that's how Jesus holds your hand. He's not, all right, Scott, I'm gonna wait till you fix this,
Right.
Instead, he's in the battle with you, and because he just wants you to want to be better, and the lie is from the enemy saying, you screwed up, it's over for you, just go back to your old life.
Yeah.
And that's what the enemy wants, go back to your old life and just forget all this.
It's uncomfortable. And people don't, they don't like discomfort.
Yeah.
We as human beings, we want to kind of do things the easy way.
Yeah.
So quitting or not necessarily quitting, but quitting something that's an addiction.
Yeah.
Is tough.
And a lot of times we'll do things if we know it's instant. Or physical things, like we know there's going to be a physical change.
Right.
It's hard to trust in the spiritual change that's coming. And
do you think that's because people don't see it? It's not like a tangible thing that you can touch. It's something that you just have to kind of roll with it.
Yeah, because it's just like you're working on something and you're dealing with things, and then it's weird how all of a sudden it's almost like somebody's got to tell you that you've conquered it, because it always seems like it's always a battle within. And so that's where the body speaks into you and say, hey man, you know how good you're doing? And so it still checks, but it's saying, hey, all right, what else do we need to work on now?
Right.
Because sometimes we focus on that one thing forever and don't get to experience more things from the Lord.
Yeah.
So Psalm 37:23 says this: the Lord directs the steps of the godly. He delights in every detail of their lives. Though they stumble, they will never fall, for the Lord holds them by the hand. I just think it's a great visual of life. Because stumble doesn't mean you sin. Sometimes stumbling is through sin, but stumbling could be just mistakes,
right,
or somebody else's sin affects you, right? So you're in a mess, and you weren't even a part of it, but you're in it, right? And so you're overwhelmed with, why is this happening? And why am I going through this? But realizing He's with you, He's holding your hand. You're going to get through it.
Yeah.
You're not alone. It's not because of this and that it's happened.
Yeah.
But we're quick to beat ourselves up, and
especially when we stumble again. You're working so hard to change something, and then you fall into that pit.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
Why did I do this?
Yeah. Yeah. But when we say why, it's actually we're learning. Because before, you're living for, let's go, right?
Right.
Before, it's just learning to not love sin, but hate it.
Yeah.
And it takes a while to get to that point. I think about my calling. I got called to preach at 17. And, that year accepting the calling was a difficult year. It was probably the most difficult year I've had in my life. I was dating a girl, and it went south quickly, and it was hard. And lost a job, got a new job. I'm at 17, lost a job, got a new job, and then so that was all this weird stuff was happening, and but it wasn't because of sin. It was because I felt like the enemy challenging. Are you really gonna be a preacher? Mm-hmm. Like, throwing stuff at me to say, hey, can you let's see if you really want this. And then I went to college that year, and things turned around. It's like you gotta stand up for your faith. You gotta stand up for decisions. And when you do that, the enemy says, all right, I'll check back later. I'm gonna leave you alone, because
right.
if you stand up, how many times did the devil mess with Jesus? Not very much.
Yeah.
He had the time in the wilderness. He said, yeah, Jesus for real. Like, now I got to get him through his disciples. Like, he tried different ways to get him, right? And now I want to go through people to try to get him. Mm-hmm. So we got to think about that too, is the enemy may be using people around us to check our face. Are you really believing in me? And so it's just hanging in there, because the church I went to, there was a lot of callings. A lot of people got called to the mission field. Some were called to be pastors, and my buddy was called to be a pastor, but he got a call later, right after college. But there wasn't that many people kids that follow through.
Yeah.
From that calling to now, and it's sad. It breaks my heart that. Because it's a sacrifice. When you accept a call, it's a sacrifice. All right, it's no longer about. It's not about my desires and what I want to do. It's Him, and I don't know how I made it. I can't say this was what got me. It's just my word. I guess it's probably my word that got me through it. Meaning, if I say something out loud, I got to do it.
Yeah.
And so me saying I accepted a call to preach out loud means no matter what, I got to follow through, because if I don't, then you're going to say, well, Bob said he was going to be a preacher and he's building houses.
Yeah. How good is Bob's?
Like what's going on with him? And so it's an interesting dynamic of what failing looks like.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're not failing, we're just going through a trial and going through it to learn to help somebody else.
Right.
And but man, it's hard.
It
right?
is hard.
Because the temptation is to quit.
Yep.
To walk away. And I see it with people in their faith when it comes to coming to church, is when life gets hard, they want to stop coming. Mm. And they want to get by themselves and hide away and say, I want to get better on my own. And that never works.
No.
It never works. It just makes it worse, because you don't have somebody pouring into you to saying, hey, yes, it's bad, but it could be worse. Mm-hmm. Here's what's good is happening in your life right now as you're dealing with this. And so when you get them different perspectives, it helps with making it.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, it's very important that you surround yourself with people that fill you up.
Yeah.
And even when things are good, that they continue to fill you up.
Yeah.
And it kind of eases that drop as you're, at least in my life, that's how I feel.
But I mean, people will flip on a dime. Mm-hmm. One thing, And that's why I talk about try to tell new believers and the body that's around new believers. When somebody gets saved, it's like, all right, who's jumping in their life?
Right.
This first year is going to be the hardest year of their faith. If we're not walking with them, they're gonna
fail.
They're gonna have 50% chance of walking away. It matters how stubborn they are, right? And your personality, man, how your personality is when the Lord gets a hold of you. Because if you're a fighter, you're gonna make it through. But if you're not a fighter, you're gonna need somebody to walk with you and say, "Hey, you're doing good." To get past that first test, it takes 21. They say 21 times to create a habit. So just in the faith, I texted a couple that I'm dealing with in the church. They're coming in off and on, and we always have honest conversations. We met through drive-through prayer, and I told them, I said, it takes 21 times to make a habit. So until you come to church 21 times in a row, it's not going to be a habit for you. Like, just trying to nudge them to say, hey, until then, the Lord's going to say, you don't got to go today. You went last week. He's slick. He's slick on how he tries to get you away from the body. No matter what, we'll go to work Monday through Friday.
Yep.
We're going to do it. How many people go to work sick? Right? Sunday comes.
Yeah.
I shouldn't go today. I might get people sick, or I don't feel good. This happened. I'm not going to go.
Right.
Is that God saying that?
Mm-mm.
But listen, I know sometimes you are sick, right?
Yeah, right,
and
right.
you don't need to come. I'm just saying, like, if it's always happening, it's not because you're trying to avoid. Is it the enemy saying in your ear? Because usually, for some reason, for believers, Sunday's the hardest day. It's the hardest day. We get our kids up every day to go to school, but Sunday's even harder.
Right.
So, it's a spiritual battle. Sunday's a spiritual battle.
Yep.
And it just proves that church is important. And the enemy knows church is important.
Yep.
And so he's doing anything possible to make life interesting. I always come back to church because I think the church is an important part of our lives. And like I talked about, if we have an expectation he's going to move, if we have the expectation he's going to move, it's going to be more of a desire. I got to go.
Right.
I got a cool story to share about that. It was my first church. Church was 15 people when I got there, and there was an old guy in the church that he supported me, and he was an entrepreneur, loved to even in his 80s, he was creating businesses. And,
oh, wow.
And always loved to do stuff. But I like to use visuals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're used to my visuals, and I told them about Easter. I said, Easter's coming. Something big's coming. Like, you don't want to miss it. It's starting Friday, Good Friday, and then Sunday's coming. I said, you're going to see something you ain't never seen before, and you just building it up. And I used to work at a furniture factory. So I went to the guy at the furniture factory and said, hey, man, will you build me a pine box casket that I can fit in? Yeah, man, I got you. So he made me a pine casket. And so I had this little office in the church. So I brought the casket to the church, put it in my office. I have it standing up in my office where nobody can see it. And, well, that week he came to the church and was wanting to put something in my office. He opens the door and sees his casket in the office. Well, that Sunday, Easter Sunday, he was sick. I mean, sick. And I had the congregation doing some things and waving some flags, waving some towels, saying we won the victory, white towel, like we're winning the victory. And I remember watching him from the back. He was staying seated because he was so sick, and he's sitting there taking this Thank you. 'Cause he was so sick. He was like, and I walked to him after service. I walked to him. He said, Pastor, he said, I'm so sick. I'm so sick, but I couldn't miss today because I seen that casket in your office, and I had to see what you was going to do with it.
That's great.
So it was so funny to say, oh, man, like that's, but it just shows like, man, if we don't want to miss it, we won't miss, you know. But again, I'm not against staying home because you're sick. It's that excuses. Or you find excuses every week, every other week. Like, why is there no consistency in your life? Look at the bigger picture. What's going on? What's going on spiritually here? Why am I being pulled away from the body?
Yeah.
Why am I being pulled away from people pouring into you? Because you may not come Sundays, but you can go midweek. You can still be around believers doing that. So again, I'm not bashing not coming. I struggle against excuses and the people that are so inconsistent all the time. You know, what's going on there? Because if you're inconsistent like that, this is the line the enemy's going to.
That's how he's going to get in.
You're struggling. You're failing. Don't go back there. You messed up. You failed too much. The pastor's going to rim you for not coming last week. You know, he's going to put all this negativity in your mind where, all right, just stop going.
Right.
When I'm going to love you and say, I'm glad you're here. You know, and that's a struggle that people have is oh, I don't need it. But we do. We need it. It's our fuel for the rest of the week.
Yeah. Well, because we're almost immersed in negativity through the week. And you go to work and, man, you're just inundated with, you know, everybody's got something going on.
Yeah. Everybody. I mean, everybody. Like Paul says this in Philippians chapter 3. This is him being honest here. He says, no, dear brothers and sisters, I have not achieved it. But I focus on this one thing, forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead. Mm-hmm. I press on to reach the end of the race and receive the heavenly prize for which God, through Christ Jesus, is calling us. So it's just like, man, like, we always got to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
You know, if we stumble, we got to get up, right? And not stay in the ditch, but get out of the ditch and say, look, I'm going to press on. Yeah. And because that's all he wants. He wants you to keep going forward, keep trying, and towards the prize, right? Towards the prize is fellowship with him.
Yeah.
And
I'm jotting that down because that's actually a really good verse.
Yeah, Philippians 3,
you know,
chapter 3, 13 and 14.
13, 14.
Because when you look forward, you know, it produces an inward expectation, excitement about the future.
Yeah.
You know, as me as a pastor, that's what's hard. Is as soon as the Sunday's over, I move on. It's so hard because he just want to not do nothing for 2 months. Like, man, I
nailed it.
And then I'm always nervous about the next week. Like, oh, I'm so good. You know, but again, it's not about that.
Right.
You know, it's coming with the same expectation, right? Of, Lord, you want to move. And how he moves may be differently, right? Maybe high, and it may be low, but he's still moving, right? And so, every week's different. But man, as somebody, as a leader, you always want it to be just
knocked out. Yeah, absolutely.
But that's the striving, you know, but even Sunday, could you tell I was struggling with the words? I couldn't say.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What was that word? But you handled it really well, you know?
I just couldn't say the word fast. I was like, man, Lord. But that was me getting out of the way.
Yeah.
Being humble enough, I can't even talk right. You know, I can't even get the words out.
But I did like the recreational water comment. That was good. I don't just drink water just to drink water. I'm going to get me a Sprite.
That's right. So Christians out there, just stop falling for the lie. You know, if you're struggling, that means the Lord's working on you.
Yeah.
And if you're struggling, that means keep running the race, keep moving forward, and the struggle will end. When that ends, something else is going to rise up, but it's going to make you stronger, so you can tell your story.
Yeah.
Psalm 73:26 says this: "My health may fail, and my spirit may grow weak, but God remains the strength of my heart. He is mine forever."
Yeah.
So, man, it's all this physical and mental stuff that we deal with is stuff we're always going to be dealing with. But our heart, man, He saves the heart, and He works on the rest all the time.
Yep.
Right? If He's in your heart and you want more of Him, He's going to help you deal with all the craziness of life. And so we just got to stop falling for the lie and know that He loves us. He wants to walk with us, and He's holding your hand. He's holding your hand.
Absolutely.
So remember that.
And I think it's interesting too that you have people that come in your life that are struggling. Sometimes you need that, where you see somebody else struggling and how they're doing. You know.
Good stuff today. Again, Pastor Unpacked from Wadsworth. We love you. We care for you. He's holding your hand.
Yes.
See you soon.
This is Pastor Unpacked. Real talk, real faith, real growth. Let's break down life with Jesus. Come on, church, let's unpack it.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.